Ooh. Oh. What's up, everybody on the internet? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and I'm super pumped. And I will tell you why. So, you probably know or saw the reaction I did to a song called Priest by Lord of the Lost. I think it was a couple weeks ago. And that was my first introduction to the band. I'd never run into them before. I'd heard of them, right? But this whole, sort of like gothic metal vibe is just something that I didn't notice. And as I learn about it, I'm learning I like it a lot. Well, today we are going to be checking out a new song that they just recently dropped. This is called For They Know Not What They Do. And I've got the vocalist, Chris Harms, here with me. Now, I'm going to pull him on in a second. But real quick, if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we take the reaction format. We try to break it up. We try to have some fun. We try to make it educational. And we want you to learn something from it. If you like the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot. Hit that bell. And we do have a Patreon if you want to support us, but you're certainly not obligated to. But without further ado, let's pull him on here. Good old Chris Harms. How you doing today? How you feeling?
I'm super excited being here because I really loved watching the last video of you. It was the first time for me seeing someone analyzing my voice and then just doing some couple of things with his own throat and mouth and then instantly like sounding like me. It was a crazy experience. I loved it. It was really like I watched it and I was understanding, okay, that's how I did that. Because I'm a singer coming from nothing. I never learned that. I always just did it out of feeling. I learned other instruments. My first instrument was a cello. So I'm a classical cello player since the age of 5. This is how I got into music. So being a singer was always just a hobby for me, and during the first 20 years of singing I didn't even call myself a singer. I was just like, I'm a guy singing, but I'm not a singer. Meanwhile, I like my voice enough, so I would say I'm kind of a singer, and so this was a real revelation for me watching you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And I'm glad I was able to get it right. Sometimes I'm pretty close, but I get a couple things. And I think it's so funny, you're like, well, I guess I'm sort of a singer. The only people I ever hear say that are people with awesome voices, people who sing so well. And they're like, yeah, I'm kind of a singer. And I'm like, you're a super crazy good singer. So that's always kind of funny to me. But I do appreciate you being here. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Any insight that I should have or that we should have before we check out this new song of yours?
Maybe just a little insight, because I remember you on that last song. You were analyzing this intro voice with like these ethereal vocals, like sounding like from a movie soundtrack. And then in the outro of the, when the credits were running, there was this choir, and you were like, oh, what's happening here? And for the song that we're listening to today is actually combining that choir with my voice. So it's at some parts it's both singing, or either it's me screaming and them singing. And so I think you will kind of like that weird mixture which you're getting there. That's the only insight so far.
I'm pretty sure I will like the mixture. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. Yep. We could chat all day. So let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. And for everybody watching the video, this is For They Know Not What They Do, the most recent song by Lord of the Lost. Here we go.
They don't know
Okay, that sounds like a pretty good place to pause. I wanted to pause it a couple times, but every section of the song was pulling into the next, and I was like, I don't want to ruin this moment. So
we can always go back if you want to go into detail. I'm fine.
Oh, I'm sure that's going to happen. So, this is where I would usually talk unendingly about vocal technique.
Go on.
But I'm gonna. Okay, cool. So, some of the vibes that I'm getting from the song right here, one thing that I really like just about your voice in general is that it very much is like an anchor, right? In the song so far, we have, sort of these powerful, slow movements. And I feel like the fact that you have this low warmth, Father, forgive them, like that warmth on the bottom, really kind of helps me feel steady, I guess, in the song. Also, the way you're sort of breathing in and out of your syllables, like maybe this is the wrong word, but it kind of makes it feel like darkly romantic in a way. Like there's a level of like intimacy to the way that you're singing, because you've got this breathiness at the front, that moves into the closure and then back out into the breathiness. So it's almost like you're whispering to someone, but with a strong singing voice. So I like the whole thing.
I can understand that when I'm not singing too loud, I have this weird kind of overtone, this in my voice that sounds like I'm combining whispering with my real voice. And what I need to tell you from a production standpoint here, what I did for that record, I wanted to keep it as minimalistic as possible with my voice, because we were playing with so many other voices. So what you're listening to in the verses here is really just one voice of me. So there's no additional track with whispers. And then there's like two voices of me in the chorus, just like one in the middle and one much quieter with a artificial wider width effect to make it to kind of give it some kind of frame. And that's it. So it's really like... don't want to brag, don't get me wrong, it's really like, but I have that in my voice, that this weird whisper, so I can kind of whisper and sing at the same time. Yeah.
Interesting, like a little bit of this natural raspiness. And by the way, we're here talking about your song. You're more than welcome to brag. You brag all you want. At least that's what I think. Well, that's cool. That's really awesome. And I think it's really great that you chose, like you said, to take, at least so far, I'm not sure where the rest of the song is going to go, to take a little bit more of a minimalist approach, because as you probably know, on this channel, we cover a lot of like screaming, harsh, like type of vocals, and I feel like sometimes there's this overexertion and this need amongst death metal and deathcore vocalists to constantly be as maximal as they can. But I think sometimes the best thing
there's no dynamics. No, I know what I mean.
It does happen,
me,
and I think
it was funny that as you said that, because for me it somehow feels like waves as well. This is what I wanted. I try to hold the words very long, so you don't have love, pause, forgive them, pause, breathe, pause. I wanted to love, forgive them, so you really have like, when I do the love and I'm on the v, I'm already like preparing the next word. Love, forgive them, you don't. So there's really no pause. So you kind of are being like rocked on that kind of slow wave of feelings. So yeah, I think this is what I did.
Definitely.
Not intentionally, I think. But yeah.
But it works. It works. I think that's what gives it the storytelling vibe. Because when we speak, we have a natural cadence and prosody to our voice, right? Nobody says, hi, how are you? Nobody talks that way. There are two other things that I wanted to mention. One of which is early in the song, there's a section where you kind of pull this like really deep, low resonance into the voice. So you're kind of here, and then there's, I can't quite remember what it sounded like. You get really deep and operatic. Is that something, I think it sounds awesome, personally. It sounds strong. It definitely is like, oh, okay, we just had a resonance shift, but it's fascinating. Is that something that you did intentionally, and kind of what made you want to go for that really open, very cavernous sound? We'll go back and we'll listen to it with everybody.
I think you need to show me exactly where, then maybe I can tell you.
Okay, yeah, let's go back, and then I'll ask you a little bit about some of the screaming I heard. So, I think it was right around here. If we go too far back, we just have more good song to listen to. So no worries. Let's try right here. Right here. ho, like that sound. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. And then it moves into this next section. And I was like, that's actually really cool. It's kind of like getting me ready. It's like kind of signaling me subconsciously as a listener that something's coming. So that I just kind of noticed and I thought was cool. What do you have any insight on that? Because I think it's neat.
I wanted to have like some kind of clear break between the screaming and the, let's say, dark romantic stuff. So I decided to go up with the voice, although the part is going like down. It's more like a breakdown, but the voice is higher and louder, of course, but it's much more on the reverb. So you have this like with a little touch of opera, like a little overdone. So you're like far back in the reverb to us break, and then you have this very direct, without any reverb screaming. So I wanted to have this like Caesar here, like dark romantic, then some kind of cathedral moment, like what's the right word for it? Not cathedral. It's so
like
hard. I
reverb,
just learned
like
English in
thing?
school, so sacral. Can you say that? Is that a word?
I think so.
Yeah. Like kind of.
I feel like I get the vibe of what you're saying. I'm totally following you. And I think it worked really well.
Because what you're listening to here, together with me, I had to compete with the real church organ, because on this record we said if we want strings, we record strings. If we want a piano, we record a piano in a huge hall. If we want an organ, we sound an organ. We record an organ in a church. If you have a choir, we have a real choir. So if you hear programmings on the records, it's only like 100% electronic sounds that are meant to be electronic. The rest is like 100% natural, everything of it. So, and I had to compete with that maximum church organ. So I had to go there,
Yeah. That's awesome. That's fascinating. And it's really cool that you used all like real organic, for lack of a better term, instruments. I'm excited. We're going to listen to this chorus again. I'm excited to hear some of the screaming, because we're going to talk about that. Let's give it like maybe, I don't know, a little like a minute of the song, because I'm already itching to jump back into it, and then we'll get back to it, because this is fun. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Boom. So now I can. I'm starting to get it. I know that's a good spot. So, we had some screams in the chorus there, and that was really cool. If my memory serves, there was some gritty belting and rasping in Priest, but I don't think there was any screaming in Priest.
No, not like that. We only had this priest or some praise, like some voices combined. Yeah. But this is like classic emo screamo, actually.
Okay, tell me about that. Tell me about that.
It's like, I don't know. It's a classic thing when I have to decide if I want it most powerful. I decide to like really scream, like with my real voice, like I can do it here now. I'm gonna fuck up the gain here, but you know what I mean.
Sure,
or I
fine.
go into this like toneless Father, which is only happening here. Like, and we combined it with some classic dark growls, which our guitar player Pi did. So we did the Father, which are like more on the background and on the sides to give it a little more growth and width. But this is like really, this is the less dynamic I can do, because it's just Father, Father, it's just pure distortion. There's nothing more to it. And
Right.
I just wanted it most aggressive to have like, you have the clean choir in the back, which is singing the harmonies. So I wanted to have this contrast here between brutality and the choir before we go into this like drum and bass groove in the other chorus. So
Totally. Yeah. And that makes sense. Yeah. There you are just sitting over there and you bust out a fry and a false chord scream like you ain't even trying. That's awesome. A lot of people.
Oh, these things have names? That's a fry?
They do.
I learned something
they
today.
do.
Great.
So that there are now obviously there's a lot of variation, but that first scream that you did, the higher one, these names change a lot, but the term for that is a fry scream, because you're basically getting distortion, holding the vocal folds closed, getting that distortion kind of from there. And then that low one that you did, vocal folds are open. You're getting like this more growly, like mine sound a lot different because it's a different genre, but like this type of sound
you
going on.
seem to do much more with your vocal cords, actually. Because when I do this very low growl, it's completely open. It's just like it's the vocal cords do not do anything. I can really feel it. It's just like and you have more voice here, like more like an orc, you know?
Yeah. So let me show you. So if I do like an open false chord, right? So that's open, no vocal folds touching. What I actually do is I narrow the space in my pharynx. So my tongue tightens up a little bit. The top of my mouth tightens up. So then what happens is, because it gets narrowed, I'm compressing the airway. Kind of like talk like Kermit the Frog here. And I move the scream through that. But if I peel it back,
but it's interesting because you still, if you do it open, you still have more voice in it. It's funny like how different actually the anatomy of different bodies work on the same kind of technique.
Yeah, generally as long as you don't have any vocal fold adduction, like they're fully touching, then you're groovy. But that's one of the great things that I like about screaming, is that everybody sounds very, very slightly different, right? But yeah, you busted out those two right from there, and it was pretty cool. Just sitting there, you're like, man, right? It was neat. Now, one thing I'm really noticing about this video that's really cool is the visual themes, right? I'm seeing a lot of themes from the Priest video in this video.
Yes.
If you want to, if you can, talk to me a little bit about that, because I'm seeing like a story develop, and so I'm getting kind of drawn in there.
Yes, of course I can, but I don't want to reveal like our thoughts entirely, because first of all, there are different thoughts. Everyone in the band sees like a different kind of story here. This is what we like about it. We kind of leave it open to interpretation. So we never, in no videos, and also in the lyrics, we never really do like a 100% explanation, like, hey, this is the story, and now you have understood it, and this is the end, and now you're good to go.
Yeah.
So we always leave it kind of open. But the interesting thing here is, when you look, I will spoiler you right now a little. When you watch the video to the very end and you see her falling down, you see her falling down at the same spot where I'm picking her up in the Priest video. And when you look at these other creatures in the back, they are dying in that video in some kind of Inception world, and they are dying in the real world in the other videos. So in a way, these both videos kind of give you a circle. The one video ends where the other starts, and the other way around is going back and forth, and it's some kind of Matrix world in the real world. So, and if you recognize that, then you can make up tons of stories how this is meant, and you find lots of details, maybe even details that we didn't find because we didn't intend to put them there. But yeah, that's it. I'm super pumped. I'm going to be paying attention for that. I'm really excited. And I love that the story is a little bit vague, so people can come up with their own interpretations. That's really cool. Let's go back. I'm going to give us, I don't know, a little bit of time to build up to that transition, and then let's listen through it, because I'm excited to hear this chorus again.
You feel that their hearts are bitter. Hold on to they don't know.
Okay. I gotta pause it sometime. I like didn't want to pause it there, but I like this seems like the best spot. So I'm gonna personally thank you here, because a lot of times when bands do like the narrative music video, they're out in like the woods or out in a location acting. The acting is really bad and it's distracting, but you two were very convincing in that moment. Like I was sitting here and I kind of had some of the emotional response of watching a movie. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. I thought she was good. And now she's pulling out a knife, and like you're turning around and looking surprised was very convincing. So thank you for, now I'm a terrible actor, so I'm not trying to say I probably not, but the acting was very convincing. The storytelling is coming across really nicely. And I see what you're saying. Like, watching this, my brain, I'm just trying to put together what's happening, because I'm like, is she a love interest? Is she not? I don't really know.
And that's funny, because this is like a reaction-ception here, because you were watching the video and I was watching you watching the video, because I know the video by heart, and I was watching what happened to your face while watching it, which was so interesting.
I didn't expect her to turn that knife on herself, and I was just like, yo, she...
If you watch it again, you see it's two worlds. It's like three scenes where she's trying to kill me and then realizing it just happened in her head. This is why you always see her killing me, and afterwards you see her still being alive and then moving on. Then you see her killing me again, and then you realize she's like waking up and she didn't do it. It was just in her head. And in the end, she's trying to kill me, and since the moment she wakes up, she realized that she did that to herself. So you can give this so much meanings, like killing your demons or other one's demons, or maybe it's the same people, and you see these actual demons dying in the parallel world.
Yeah.
So there's so many levels to it, and you see it. There's a slight color change. It always changes a little between a little darker and a little brighter. So we always had to shoot these other scenes like 2 hours later when the sun was lower. So and
that makes sense.
Yeah, so there's so many levels which are impossible to get by the first time watching, and this is what I like music videos which you can watch like 10 times, and after the 10th time you realize, wow, I didn't see that. So you always get something new out of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna cheat and we're gonna watch a little bit of that again, because now that you said it, I'm like, ooh, I want to pay attention. Also, kind of as an aside, you in this video, you look like one of my favorite fictional movie characters of all time. You ever seen the movie The 13th Warrior?
Yes, I did, with Antonio Banderas. It's that one, right?
Yeah, with the long with like the long white hair. You look kind of like Bulvi. You look kind of like the leader of like that Viking group.
Oh damn!
And so I'm sitting here.
I've read like 2,000 The Witcher comments on YouTube, but no one said that. Yeah, I love.
Oh really?
Yeah. I love that movie.
I
didn't even think about that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Well, now you will. Now you will forever. I can see Geralt, but for me, I see a lot more Bulvi. Let's watch this one more time. And like, kudos to your drummer. I love that like drum and bass section, as you called it, and how he speeds up. Like, very cool stuff. Let's go back and let's watch these killing scenes again, because they're kind of neat. I think right about here is good. I remember that scene. Yo, that was nuts. Oh.
It's just a tiny outro, which is like the intro to the next song on the record. So, but yeah.
Really? Should we listen to it?
It's just
listen to
piano,
it.
it's nothing. But of course.
It's beautiful. Let's check it out.
Yeah, what you're listening to here is actually like this real piano I told you about. It was recorded in my old school where I went to school like more than 20 years ago. And they have this huge concert hall with a grand piano. And we opened the doors. It's a 150-year-old big building with these high walls and a huge stairway. So we put up like room mics in the stairway. So, and it has like a 15 seconds reverb tail. So you can listen to this real reverb here, which is just beautiful. I love it.
It was absolutely gorgeous. Like I feel like anybody watching this video, you should of course go watch the full video on their channel, but don't click away when the credits start rolling, because that was like one of the most beautiful parts. So going back to the singing, now that we've kind of finished the song, I think my favorite thing is kind of what I said at the beginning, right? I love the way that you're sort of caressing the song with your voice, leaning in and coming out, know not what they do, right? It's very relaxed and enticing. Like listening to it and hearing like that smooth, almost narrative aspect to the voice. It's like that. I mean, of course I listen to singing and vocals predominantly, so this might be different for a drummer or a guitarist, but for me, that's like what's really pulling me into each next section that kind of builds and builds and builds and gets bigger.
That I need to say one more thing about
I love that.
On
Please.
one hand, I love it, like feeling wise, and on the other hand, I like years back I started this kind of like portamento kind of singing, because it's a little like cheating, because it's easier to reach like high notes, because if you have like an octave start, like in Somewhere Over the Rainbow, somewhere, and you go somewhere, it's an octave. It's hard to get if you're not trained. So if you do like somewhere, you find it, there it is. So this like glissando portamento thing, love forgiven, you feel, it kind of helps you to going down and stop at the right note, which you actually wanted to hit. So I must confess that I kind of started this years back because it's a little cheat to kind of get to real notes. And then I loved how it felt, and now I use it in more or less intentionally, let's say emotionally intentionally. Like when I feel like I want this kind of, then I do this and not, which is like the opposite of this auto-tune hip-hop stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying there, but I don't think that that's cheating at all. One thing I always tell people who listen to our music or any of my students, I'm like, yo, listen, I am a lazy vocalist. I am always going to take the easiest route. I'm always going to do whatever sounds good.
Yes, of course. Thanks for saying that. Same thing with audio production. Whatever sounds good. If you want to use a compressor as a distortion, if it sounds good, and if it's your own, and you doesn't care if maybe the tubes are overheating, do it. Yeah, whatever sounds good is right, always.
I totally agree. And, the fact that you started that way and you continued with it, at no point in this song, like sometimes you do hear singers where you can tell they're depending on that glissando. They're depending on that like, right? No point in this song was I like, I wonder if he's doing this as a dependency. It's become your voice. It's become your art style, right? And I think that comes across really, really well. And I really dig it, right? I do the whole thing in my own music where when I need to get high, sometimes I'll get some of that, like I'll get that nasality because it's easy, right? It makes it work. Obviously not that nasal, but well, this song was amazing. I guarantee I'm gonna listen to it like 30 or 40 more times.
I need to ask you, did you get the visual Bohemian Rhapsody quote?
So I did, but I didn't know if I should say anything.
Yes,
because
of course.
sometimes
I always want, like for 20 years, I always said in one music video, I want to do a little Queen homage here. And whatever, we're 5 people, not 4, but I want to do that. Yeah.
So I totally did, and I'm glad you brought it up because in the moment I was like, "Yo, that looks like the Bohemian Rhapsody video, but just inverted. The black is white, the gold is blue, right?" And I was like, I don't know if he wants that parallel. Maybe I won't say anything, but I'm glad you did because I love it.
It was
I
funny
love
because in this video we have that visual Queen quote, and in Priest we actually have the lyrical Genesis quote. Jesus, he knows me and he knows I'm right.
I didn't catch that one.
Yeah,
the first time
it's
through.
like, Jesus, he knows me and he knows I am right. But in the Priest song, it's coming out of the mouth of Judas. And if you listen to that quote out of the mouth of Judas, it becomes a totally different meaning. But it's like 100% Genesis quote. Because
That's amazing.
Just funny.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen to it. I love all the little Easter eggs and the things that you put in there.
There's another homage here. We're using that actor, that actress, that girl here in more than just these 2 videos. We're using her for more videos. She's also on the cover of the CD, of the album, and we did that because I kind of loved it back then in the 90s when Aerosmith came out with all these videos, and they had Alicia Silverstone in like 3 or 4 of the videos, same actress. I was like, I want to do that when I'm grown up. I want to do that. So now we did it. So we have like lots of things that I always wanted to put somewhere, little personal projects I wanted to realize. We did them with this record. There's lots on the whole record in our videos. There's lots of glam rock quotes, and I can spoil you here in the next. No, it's not the next. The one afterwards. In the video, it's a whole lot of Rocky Horror Picture Show in it. So
really,
yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be so good. And it's cool because like now knowing that this is kind of built on you, kind of realizing and not realizing, but manifesting. That's the word I want. Manifesting these like long-term like musical project goals. It kind of is even cooler to me now because it's not just a music video. It's like a project that you've been working on for a long time. And you someone who's going to be delighted. One of our viewers, his name is Andy, and he is a huge Lord of the Lost fan, and he is going to hear that. He actually helped us prep for this video. He was like, "Hey, let me give you a little bit of background on the band and stuff." So thank you, Andy.
Oh, cool.
But just hearing that, he's gonna love it. So beyond that, I loved it. Anything else that you want to bring about? Because all this information you're giving us is appreciated and awesome.
One thing for also for the audio nerds, but also for just listeners, because what you're listening here in the outro again of that song is the choir. And of course, when you close your eyes and you listen to that, is like, okay, there's a choir singing, easy as that. Recording a choir like with 100 people is not easy, and it's super fucking expensive, and we couldn't do that because it's a double album with 24 songs, and we can't afford to do that. It's just too much. If we were like Queen, of course, yeah. So but we couldn't pull it off. So what we did, we were checking like amongst all our friends from different bands for 5 people with like a huge range from bass, baritone, tenor, alt, and soprano, and checking who can do what. And then we choose like 5 people, and these 5 people was stacking up the choir with their own voices, and just like changing the format from take to take. So on one take you're singing "Father, forgive," and in the other one you do "Father, forgive," just the same note, just trying to for you guys out there to kind of change the format of your voice and all that kind of stuff. So what you're actually listening to here is 1 girl and 4 guys doing the whole choir for that whole album, and you always hear like 20 to 25 voices of each, and all of them could do like 3 different voices. Also the girl, she could go nearly to baritone. It's a beautiful voice. Her name is Scarlett Dawn. She has this super warm voice, but also this super classical soprano voice. And this is just 5 people. So maybe you just go back to this outro thing, and you guys out there, keep in mind it's 5 people stacked on top of each other, recorded like for hours, doing that choir.
Yeah. Let's definitely here's that Bohemian Rhapsody visual quote that you mentioned. probably about maybe here with this
Yeah,
work,
yeah,
maybe a little earlier.
And in the music video, of course you see us because it was funny, but it's no one of
Yeah.
us is singing in that choir. It's a choir. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, let's check it out. Let's listen. So only 5 people.
Yeah.
Only 5 people making this huge choir. Let's go. That worked really, really well.
And we did that on
Like,
24 songs. It's crazy. I love it.
that worked way better than I would have imagined 5 people simulating a full choir would work.
It's a lot of work, but that way we could do it because, of course, this took a lot of time and money as well. But it's a different thing, like controlling 5 people you're close to, and record them in a dry room, than working with like 80 people you do not know, which just get the sheet stuff in their hand, like, okay, this is the score.
Yeah.
And then you have like 2 takes and then take it or leave it. So you have no chance of editing or like working on mistakes or whatever. And yeah, that's why we did that.
Yeah. Well, it was smart move. Smart move. It really played out. Cool. Well, I think that is a good spot to start wrapping it up here. One thing I do want to do, though, I like to do with every guest we have on. Thank you again for being here. What for anybody who's viewing this who may be new, maybe they didn't see the Priest video. What is the best way for somebody to get into Lord of the Lost, to look y'all up? I mean, you've been around for a while making this awesome music, but what's a good way that they can get into you and the band and all the artwork y'all make?
It's so hard to say. Because when you're not AC/DC and you can start like with each song, and because they all have the same kind of feeling to it. I don't mean no offense here. I'm a huge I'm a huge fan, but you know what I mean. I think if you start with our new stuff, with these 2 songs, they are kind of special because they really open up a new world. So I'd really go with YouTube's favorite. It's a song called Lorelei. Or Lorelei. It's Loreley, Lorelei. And this song kind of combines like everything that we have. It's like metal parts, it's pop parts, it's a whole lot of 80s. And also the visuals is super hard, sometimes super gay, very colorful. And so we are very like visualistic from the audio side, and like also from our mindset, we're like a super colorful band, and this song kind of combines everything. I think it's a good start point. I think it's like it has like 6 million views on YouTube meanwhile in like 2.5 years, and I think that happened for a reason, because this song kind of seems to wrap it up for so many people. Awesome.
Well, that being said, I'm going to hopefully be allowed to listen to it, because if we cover it here, then I can't listen to it ahead of time. But that is awesome. I appreciate that. And then build one last thing that I want to build on. I'm telling you, I'm gunning for it, especially said that some of your music has like this more 80s vibe. If they ever remake The Labyrinth, I am starting a Kickstarter. I'm starting a petition for y'all to do the soundtrack. I want it to happen. It will happen. I'm putting it into the universe. So mote it be.
Okay. I'm in.
Hell yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. I greatly appreciate you. Thank you all for watching and taking some time out of your weekend. Go check out Lord of the Lost. If you haven't already, I'd be surprised, but do it either way. And as always, many thanks. Much love. We're out.